Hey tubers, it's Tony, and today we're going to be replacing the alternator on your 2015 Honda Accord. This is the 2.4 liter motor, guys. There's my part number. Got it from rockauto.com, guys. It was 157. Okay. The reason why we're replacing the alternator today, guys, is because the battery light was on, and after checking a number of things, it's still on. So that's a sign that the alternator is starting to fail. Okay. What you want to do, guys, is if your battery light is on, there are a couple things you want to check first before buying a new alternator. You want to go to the battery terminals and you want to check and make sure they're on nice and tight. You also want to check the battery and look for a white type of ashy substance buildup. If you find that, that's nothing more than corrosion or acid corrosion buildup. Get yourself a can of Coke or Pepsi, pour it directly over the battery terminals and clean them thoroughly. What's happening is the acid in your soda is eating away the acid around your battery terminals. Don't worry, guys, nothing will blow up or short out or anything of that nature. It just doesn't happen. Okay? The next thing you want to do, guys, is check the electrical connector running to the battery. To the alternator and the wiring harness itself. Look for damage of any type, guys. If you find that, that needs to be dealt with. Check the battery lead that runs from the battery to the alternator. You also want to check making sure that this is on tight, and check the wiring as well. Okay? Guys, I can't stress this enough. If your battery light is on, run to a mechanic and have this problem diagnosed as quickly as you can before you're left stranded. What are the signs of a bad alternator, guys? Well, you may have dim or not so bright lights in your vehicle. Your battery may be dead. Slow or malfunctioning accessories in your vehicle. Trouble starting your vehicle, and surely frequent stalling is a sure sign of a bad alternator. You could hear noises coming from the alternator. And again, the most important issue is that the battery light will be on. When the battery light comes on, guys, that's a definite sign that your charging system or alternator is not charging the battery up for one reason or another. So you want to have this problem diagnosed. One of the first things you want to do before you start this job, guys, is go out and disconnect the black cable from your battery. Make sure that it does not touch the battery while you're working on it. Then the next thing you want to do is go to the passenger front wheel, break all of the lug nuts, guys, but don't remove them. Then jack the vehicle up and place it safely on a jack stand. If you don't know how to do this, guys, stop now and seek help from someone else that knows what they're doing, as we don't want you to get injured. Once the vehicle is securely on a jack stand, you can remove the driver's wheel, and then there are a number of steps that we'll go through at that particular time, and I'll show you that in a moment, so hold tight. Okay, guys, disconnect the black cable and make sure it doesn't touch the battery. There are a couple things you need to disconnect, guys. Again, you can try and disconnect these clips, but I don't worry about it. I removed the 10mm bolt there, 10mm bolt there. Disconnect the electrical connector. It's the push down type tab, and pull it away. Disconnect this 13mm bolt for the battery lead. Place that to the side, guys. Okay. And then let's see if I can show you. Right there, guys. Fat thing sticking out. That is the belt tensioner. You're going to take an 11/16 wrench, put it around that, guys. Pull it towards the front of the vehicle, and that will take the stress off of the belt, and you can remove it. So hold tight. I want you guys to see what I'm doing with my 11/16 socket. Put it on that pulley or that belt tensioner and pull it towards the front of the vehicle. That will take the tension off of the belt. See? And then you can slide the belt off of the vehicle. The next thing you'll need to do, guys, is break loose this 12mm bolt right there. You'll need a 3/8 ratchet and a 12mm socket. Okay, guys, next you'll need to break loose this 14mm bolt. But before you do that, down in this hole here, guys, you need to remove the, let's see, you need to remove the belt tensioner, okay? And inside that hole, guys, you will need a T50 hex bolt remover, okay, in order to remove that. Okay, so you need to remove that first and then place that to the side. So I want you guys to see how I have that set up in there. Okay, now I have my ratchet and the hex socket to remove that bolt. Then what I do, guys, is I take a fatter socket and a long driver and I put it over the arm of my ratchet and I use it for leverage to break that bolt loose. Okay, so that's just a helpful trick to you guys if you plan to use it. After you break that bolt loose, guys, you just have to reach down in there with your hands and unscrew it. So guys, once you remove the tensioner, you don't need to try and pull it out through here, guys. Go ahead and take the 14mm bolt loose right here, and then the alternator should just come out. Okay, remember, everything goes back together in the reverse order that you used to take it apart. Remember what I showed you guys for leverage. Okay, I'm breaking loose that bolt. Oops, turning it in the wrong direction. So I'm breaking loose that bolt, and that way you don't have to kill yourself when you go to break that bolt loose. Remove that bolt, place it to the side, and hopefully this will work with just one hand. Oh, I'm sorry guys, you know what? Once you remove the tensioner, there's one more 14mm bolt down there that you need to remove. Almost forgot about that. So you will actually have to pull your tensioner out and place it to the side, guys. Just be careful when you pull it out that you don't damage this line here, okay? And then when you go down in there, you will see somewhere down in there, there is another 14mm bolt right there, and then the alternator will just come out. So see guys, I took my 14mm socket, 3/8 ratchet, and that's how I approach that bottom bolt, just so you know. Now you should be able to grab the old alternator and pull it out. Notice it's loose. Make sure you transfer this bracket right here over to the new alternator, guys. It's like a heat shield held on by two 10mm bolts. And again, everything goes back together in the reverse order that you used to take it apart. Okay guys, notice I transferred the heat shield over to the new alternator. You're going to put your alternator back in its housing, guys, and start by threading that bottom bolt first. Again, while you're down here, guys, check the electrical connectors. Make sure that there are no busted wires or anything of that nature. If you're looking for your AC compressor, there it is. And you now know that more than likely it'll come out much easier if you take the alternator out of the vehicle, or you can take the fan out, whichever one you choose to do. Okay guys, the new alternator is in. You want to make sure that bottom bolt is on nice and tight, but don't strip the bolt. And remember what I showed you, how to use this to make the use this for leverage to tighten up and loosen hard bolts that are really on tight and tough places. Okay guys, everything is hooked back up. When you go to put that hex bolt back in, guys, you want to make it tight, but once you start feeling true resistance, back off. You don't want to break that bolt in there. Okay, make sure you hook up, put on your brackets, 10mm bolts, hook up your electrical connector, make sure that's on there. Okay, hook up your 13mm battery lead bolt. Okay, and then the next thing you need to do, most of you are probably wondering, I did this job with the vehicle on the ground, so some of you may be wondering, why did he say jack the vehicle up? I'll show you that momentarily. Okay, for those of you who are wondering why I told you to jack the vehicle up, some people are not really savvy with belts, guys. I can do this from the top without jacking the vehicle up or removing the driver's wheel because I know what I'm doing. You can try to keep the belt in one place on the top, but if the belt should move around, guys, no problem. Come to the bottom wheel well cover. Jack the vehicle up as instructed. There's a clip here, there's a clip here, and then there's one clip down the bottom right here. Pull this out of its little holder right there, and you can take this and move it to the side. Okay, this would allow you then to go in there and route that belt. Okay, keep in mind, again, if you're not savvy with doing this, guys, try and snap a picture of how the belt looks while it's on there before you take it off. In the event you should have any questions, then you can go back to your photograph and correct whatever problem that you're having. Okay guys, the belt is back on. I want you guys to, in the end, double check. Make sure the belt is sitting on the pulleys correctly. You know, the grooves are sitting where they're supposed to. Otherwise, when you start the vehicle up, the belt will be shredded. So just double check. Make sure that the belt is sitting on the pulleys correctly everywhere. Okay, go up top and do the same thing. You want to double check up top as well. Make sure that the belt is sitting on the pulleys correctly. Don't be afraid to get down in there and look, guys, with a flashlight. Take your time. Do a dummy check. Make sure that all bolts are nice and tight. Your battery lead is on nice and tight. Your brackets are back on nice and tight. Your electrical connector is on. Then the only thing left to do, guys, is go ahead and hook the battery back up and start the vehicle up. One final thing I wanted to do, guys, these little clips that come out of here, they're like push pins. Get yourself a flat blade screwdriver, guys. Pluck down into the little groove. See the little groove? It's meant for a screwdriver to pluck down into. Pull the head up, and then you can pull the entire pin out. Okay? If for any reason you should break any of these pins, you can go to any local junkyard, guys. There are Hondas everywhere. They take the same clips. You can just go in there and take a couple clips if you should break them by accident. But the most important thing is to make sure that the belt is on correctly. Okay? Make sure it's sitting in the correct spot everywhere, and then you can go ahead and start the vehicle up. Okay guys, that's it for the most part. Have fun with it, guys. When it comes to the belt on this vehicle, it can be a tedious process. Okay, so take your time when it comes to putting that belt back on. If you are not really savvy, guys, what you can do is get a block of wood and a jack and place it under the oil pan to support the motor. And you can break loose these, I think they're 17 millimeter bolts right here that actually hold on the engine mount. Break these two loose and this one loose, and it'll give you a little bit more room to play with that wrench in the corner, because oftentimes that wrench, when you put it on that bracket down there to on the tensioner, will get in your way up here. So that's another option. So thanks for watching, guys, and take care, and remember to make sure all of your electrical connectors are in nice and snug. Your battery is connected. Okay, and again, I can't stress this enough. Do a dummy check for the belt, guys, to make sure that the belt is sitting everywhere that it needs to sit correctly, and you're good to go. Thanks for watching, guys, and take your time, have fun with it. Catch you next trip.